We are extremely disappointed in his inappropriate comment. Hi, I'm Scott Ott, and this is Bill Whittle now, and I'm talking not about something Bill Whittle has said. No, actually, I'm quoting the National Basketball Association apologizing on behalf of the general manager of the Houston Rockets, one Daryl Morey. And the quote from the NBA was, "We are extremely disappointed in the inappropriate comment by the general manager of the Houston Rockets." They go on to say that they imagine that many Chinese basketball fans undoubtedly seriously hurt the feelings of Chinese basketball fans. Bill, Daryl Morey, who is the general manager of the Houston Rockets, ran afoul of the NBA and practically a 1.5 billion people in the world by doing this. He sent out a tweet expressing support for Hong Kong's democracy movement, saying, quote, "Fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong." Bill.
Are you looking for my shocked face?
Just take that at face value. How does that strike you?
Well, there's a number of things that strike me, and none of it pleasantly. So this was the NBA, was it?
National Basketball Association, correct? NBA.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like you to reread that little one-line apology because this is the epitaph of the United States.
We are extremely disappointed in the inappropriate, let me get it right, in the inappropriate comment by the general manager of the Houston Rockets. And then he went on, this is Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, presumably, it says, undoubtedly seriously hurt the feelings of Chinese basketball fans. By the way, there are a lot of Chinese basketball fans, perhaps as many as 500 million Chinese people watched at least one NBA game last season, and the NBA has made NBA business operations in China are valued at some $4 billion.
We would like to seriously apologize for the inappropriate statement that hurt somebody's feelings. That's what's going to be on the tombstone of the United States of America, in quotations, needless to say. That's the whole thing. We sincerely apologize for the inappropriate remarks that hurt somebody's feelings. That's where we are now. Our entire world circulates around the ability to make sure that we go through life without hurting anybody's feelings. And as we do this, we find out there are people whose profession is to have their feelings hurt, and those people are enjoying a boon economically right now. As far as the text of it, as far as the content of it goes, this is the conflict between the coach who wrote that tweet, who has a soul, and the people who condemned him, who have a wallet.
Well, before you start to praise the general manager of the Houston Rockets too much, let me just add a couple of things. First of all, the owner of the Houston Rockets says that Daryl Morey doesn't speak for us. And James Harden, who plays for the Rockets apparently, says, "We apologize. We love China. We really love playing here." And then Morey himself released a statement, and I've got an excerpt here, but I'd rather see if I can get the whole quote from it. Here we go. This is Daryl Morey's comment after the blow up on social media. "I did not intend my tweet to cause any offense to Rockets fans and friends of mine in China. I was merely voicing one thought based on one interpretation of one complicated event. I've had a lot of opportunity since that tweet to hear and consider other perspectives." Bill, isn't it a good thing to hear and consider other perspectives?
Yeah. Yeah, it is a good thing, actually. It's a very good thing to hear and consider other perspectives. I've spent most of my life hearing and considering other perspectives. And one of the perspectives that I've considered is the perspective of living underneath the communist totalitarian dictatorship. And I've contrasted that idea against the idea of living in a democracy where individuals are protected by ironclad guarantees. Legal guarantees. And I've decided I'd rather live in the second one than the first one. And there was a time when everybody understood that. There's still a time when everybody understands that, because every single person who says, gee, really sorry, we really hurt your feelings there, China, is looking at the money that China provides. None of them want to move to China. It's not like they're ideologically aligned with China. They just don't care. They don't care because it doesn't affect them. And now all of a sudden you've got a guy who actually does care, who understands that there are people in the streets who are risking their lives to be able to live their lives the way they want to, the way every single person in this country does, no matter how easily offended we get. And so he basically says, stand for freedom. You know, of all the things I saw in Hong Kong, by far the most powerful was a meme that went out, and you saw a couple of people in the streets of Hong Kong, and they're all holding big American flags, and the title is, "Be the America that Hong Kong thinks you are." And that's it. And so this tweet was a message from the America that Hong Kong thinks we are. And to be perfectly fair, it's not the country that we were, it's the country that we half are. Half of us are those people now.
Bill,
and so, go ahead.
I was going to say, during the Nixon administration, President Nixon's idea was essentially that we could draw China out of its oppressive sort of Stone Age existence, this dictatorial communist regime, by engaging them, not only engaging them diplomatically, but engaging them in commerce. Since that time, as you've pointed out in previous shows, that it's almost impossible to recognize modern day China compared with, even if you go back a few decades, to see the way they were living. It's just shocking to see that. On the other hand, the oppression of the Uyghur people, the idea that still they have kind of tyrannical rule over birth control, essentially, if you want to call it that. It seems to me that Americans in many ways have benefited from engagement with the communist country, but the Chinese people themselves may still feel out in the cold, especially when they hear the President of the United States congratulating the People's Republic of China on its 70th anniversary.
Well, congratulating the People's Republic of China on its 70th anniversary is a simple diplomatic courtesy. You know, I mean, that's not an endorsement of any of their policies. I suspect that an official congratulation goes out every single country in the world at some point or another. So that's just.
I'm sure that Chairman Mao raised a glass in hell. And
I'm very, very glad. I'm very, very glad you mentioned Chairman Mao, because I was just about to. When you say that we have not had any of that, the capitalism that Nixon thought that trade with China would modify China, soften China, that's precisely exactly what happened. So while the examples that you mentioned, birth control issues and the Uyghurs and all the rest of it, and the suppression in Hong Kong, all of that, that's a far cry from Tiananmen Square, which was 1989, was it? And that is a far cry from the 1950s when Mao killed, 50 million of his own people. So you have to measure your progress by what you're measuring your progress by. And from Chinese standards, life has probably never been better in China. I think I could say that with some confidence. For the common person, life has never been better than it is right now in China. But that's not the issue. The issue is, do you retain a sense of morality? Is there anything higher to you than revenues? As we just did in the last episode, I just made a wicked compelling case for private ownership and wealth creation. We did that in the show before. Absolutely, 100% believe that running a business at a profit is something that makes everybody's lives better. But if your entire ethical system is determined by whether or not you lose a market, if you are so committed to doing the smart thing that you absolutely will not do the right thing, in fact, not only do the right thing, but condemn somebody for doing the right thing in order to do the smart thing, then you have lost your way. You have lost your way, and you've lost your way, and that's not trivial, because in a society that was designed to have the people govern themselves, the predicate of this was that the people would have to be virtuous. And if people are willing to sell out their ideas, because what the hell does the NBA know about freedom? What the hell do the administrators of the NBA know about freedom? Did any of them serve in World War II? Were any of them on the beach at Iwo Jima? No.
Well, Bill, this is exactly the point of the New York Times article I read about this. The columnist who basically said the NBA used to be, relatively speaking, the woke league. They were the league that basically let their players express their political viewpoints in support of Black Lives Matter.
So long as they were the correct political viewpoints.
They were the league that said, we're not going to take our All-Star game to Charlotte, North Carolina because of the whole transgender bathroom issue. And now it seems that they've lost their voice when it comes to something that is substantially about human freedom under communist rule.
No, what they've done is they've gone off the reservation. They've made a statement that is inherently conservative because it's about celebrating freedom.
No, I don't mean what Daryl Morey initially said. I mean the reaction of the NBA, of LeBron James, of James Harden, of the owner of the Houston Rockets, of all those people who have said, whoa, we didn't mean to say free Hong Kong.
Right. So what conclusions can you draw about those people, their ethical decisions, and the kind of person that makes those ethical decisions? What kind of conclusion can you draw?
It seems a bit opportunistic.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It does. Seems a bit selfish that these multimillionaires, who are multimillionaires because of revenue, much of which comes from China, are going to sacrifice the idea of freedom in order to keep the dollar on the pedestal. I find it very odd for me to be using this language because I almost never do. Almost never. I'm almost always a pro-business kind of guy and all of that stuff. But there is, in fact, a moral basis for capitalism, for free markets and freedom. You can't have one without the other, and China's the perfect example of that. You cannot have a free market without freedom, without political freedom. You can't have political freedom without a free market. So as we watch these things continue to be eroded away in this country, we have to ask ourselves, where have we failed? Where have we failed? Where has the country failed? Where has the morality that used to be instilled on a daily basis into this country is long gone, and we somehow expect that we're going to be able to continue to maintain this lifestyle that morality provided us in the first place? No, not going to happen. So rather than saying, well, these damn Democrats and all the rest of it, I think the question that conservatives should be asking is, was it a smart idea for conservatives to leave the pop culture, just run away from it? Was it a smart idea to abandon that hill without a fight? Because it's not a hill. It's the entire battlefield. We just walked off it. We said, oh, these guys are better at it than we are. And so we left. So now you know. Now people's ethics and morality are being determined by Family Guy and by
LeBron James and James Harden.
There you go. LeBron James, as an example, is not the kind of person who strikes me as the kind of philosophical thinker who is determined to speak his mind no matter what the consequences are. LeBron James strikes me as an extraordinarily good basketball player who knows which side of his bread is buttered. And that is not a problem so long as it doesn't conflict with a higher responsibility, which is to the idea that allows him to be a multi-millionaire. In other words, when LeBron James does what he did, he is selling out the system that made him rich in order for him to become richer.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are grateful that some people in this country woke up and they decided that they needed to advance these kinds of conversations. So if you want to get that kind of woke, you can join the members at BillWhittle.com by going to that website and clicking the Become a Member link. We are not afraid to speak our mind, and there is no amount of coercion from anybody that will get us to back off from it. So for
Amen.
Bill Whittle, I'm Scott Ott. Thanks for watching.